Yes, this is me, Hudson Judge. Just doing a live, Just doing a live, you know. Yeah. No, my topic today is Good Friday in Canada. Well, for those of us who are from the Caribbean, Good Friday in Canada is totally different from Good Friday in the Caribbean. I could speak for the Caribbean and maybe for other countries in the world. People who migrate to Canada might have some kind of culture shock or no more culture shock, but they live in it for a long time. I live in here a long time. So anyway, if you knew, Good Friday in Canada is a culture shock. As for me, it's not a culture shock. But I was born in Caribbean, in Grenada. And I live here for more than I live in Grenada. Longer than I live in Grenada. But anyway, Good Friday in Canada is more like a day of rest than if you're living in the Caribbean. I could speak for Grenada. In Grenada, Good Friday, some people go to church. Right? They go to church. In North America or Canada, I would say, most people don't go to church. To compare with a lot of countries in the world, Canada don't have a high crime rate to compare with lots of countries in the world, but Canadians are not that really religious people to compare like the United States or even the Caribbean where people go to church a lot. Most Caribbean countries where crime are very high, where crime is very high. Today is Good Friday, a lot of people still go to church on percentage than in Canada, although crime is higher. Good Friday in Canada is a day for more relaxation because in Canada people work hard. They have to work hard. They work long hours to survive. So I guess most people glad for the holiday. And as working people, working class people in Canada, use Good Friday as a day for them to rest, relax, and by law they get paid. Government make it law that your company have to pay you. So it's a public holiday. Or statutory holiday, how they say. So to compare it with the Caribbean, maybe in the Caribbean, if you turn on radio, you hear people playing a lot of religious songs. Good Friday. You might hear people, Caribbean people most likely going to silent the culture today, the everyday culture, because it's Good Friday. But the question is, the same people who teach us, who brought us Christianity in the Caribbean, the same people living in Canada and the United States and those majority European-based countries. But in the slave societies like the Caribbean and other colonial societies like Latin America, people tend to be more complying with Good Friday's rules. For example, in Canada, some business places might be closed. They close, major business places close for Good Friday. But as I said, most people don't go to church. The vast majority don't go to church. They're going to stay home and relax. And perhaps if they have to clean their home, they're going to do it. Or lie down and rest. And they will say, yeah, I getting paid. It's a holiday. My company going to pay me. Now, good. I don't see nobody flying kite based on my culture. In Grenada, in Good Friday in Grenada, you will see kite flying. Other Caribbean islands too. You will see kite flying. Tradition in Good Friday in the Caribbean, there is a lot of mythology in it. Don't climb trees. Don't go in the river. Don't go in the sea. You know, because if you go, something bad going to happen to you and you're going to die. That's how we come to have that belief in the Caribbean. Why is in Canada people don't have them belief? Understand? So traveling give you good experience how cultures varies from country to country. And the question is, why in Grenada we keep Good Friday holy, whilst in Canada people use it to rest? Could it be, what we're going to say, industrialization? Industrialization? Perhaps if the Caribbean had more employed people, perhaps hustling and bustling, maybe they will celebrate Good Friday differently. Because I believe the majority of people in Canada is Catholic. If I'm not wrong. There's a lot of Anglican and how you say Lutheran or the Lutheran Church. You have the Catholic Church, Anglican, and so, you know, Quebec have a lot of Catholic. Toronto too, there's a lot of Catholic schools. But the way people in the Caribbean with Catholicism is more where the French had influence. The way they celebrate Good Friday is not the same in Canada. Like yesterday I was watching a video on Facebook in Trinidad where last week, Palm Sunday in Trinidad, people were on the street in procession, you know. And the music they used was steel pan music, which was very good. They incorporate what steel pan music was once you call vagabond music into the Catholic Church. But in Canada, no need to do it because the majority of people are white people and they don't go to church. They don't go to church. Basically, Canadians are really just people like the United States. Then again, the United States have more crime than Canada. Gun crime and so, violent crime, and even though a lot of people go to church. Then you have the migrants from the Caribbean. You have I could speak for Grenada, you have Catholic, Adventist, Pentecostal, Spiritual Baptist, and I think there's also Orisha worshippers in Canada from the Caribbean. Because there is one lady I know she from Montreach, and she used to live up GruGru-Baily on the border she living in Montreach, but border in Hermitage, close, very close. GruGru-Baily Hermitage, and she house is in Montreach, but it's not too far away from GruGru-Baily. I don't see her going to Shango Church or Orisha Church, or you call it. You know, so Right now, as I do in my life, I don't see nobody walking the street because people tired. The place is quiet. You understand? Different culture, different people, different environment. Yesterday, when I finish work, other co-workers, when they say I'm taking a rest. I didn't hear nobody say they're going to church. So, environment, culture, how we say, Canada is not a slave society. But Caribbean islanders belongs to slave society and Latin American countries. So maybe that's why, It's how you are indoctrinated and it stays in you. So, that's just my observation, Nobody in Canada tomorrow will say, it's glorious Saturday. They're going in the river to catch some crayfish. But in Grenada, you got people going in the river to catch some crayfish tomorrow because they believe in glorious Saturday. They go hold more crayfish. You understand? I don't know if the majority of Canadians don't eat meat on Good Friday, but in Caribbean, a lot of people don't eat meat on Good Friday. How they were taught that? I remember once I heard a school teacher. A man was a school teacher. He used to be a school teacher in Grenada. He was saying that the priest told him once that he get a message from the Vatican to tell the Roman Catholics don't eat meat during Lent. And the priest told that school teacher, what kind of message coming from the Vatican? And the priest was a white priest too. He said people in Grenada and the Caribbean hardly could buy meat to eat. Message coming from the Vatican, do eat meat. Whilst people they can't buy meat already. They don't have this high standard of living. And the school teacher was saying, the priest was laughing. So the question is, who control our mind and what we believe and how we believe, and so, you understand? Good Friday in Canada is just a day of relaxation. Nobody though really going out. I don't see anybody go to church in large numbers, Understand? So anyway, the influence of colonialism and religion upon colonized people with slavery, the impact on third world people is different from how it affect European people. Because Europeans were colonizers. But the colonized people tend to be more obedient to things like Good Friday service and so. Maybe I want to Italian, maybe go to church, I don't know. And maybe Portuguese. But the vast majority of Canadian, I don't see it. I wake up this morning, I don't see nothing. I know some of the coffee shop might be closed, yes. But McDonald's open. And over the years, the Chinese going to open the business, and I glad the Chinese in Toronto. Because if I want something to buy right now, I could know where a Chinese store is, Chinese business place is, and go and get something to buy. But do you think a Caribbean person with a restaurant might close their restaurant? Because the Caribbean person going to say it's Good Friday, they're open. But if they open, they're going to make some money. But anyway, another thing again too. In Canada is a place of immigrants. Why is those of us with Christian values, we respect Good Friday to some extent, whether we stay home and relax or who might go to church or what we do. Now is also Ramadan. In Canada, there is a Muslim people, Ramadan, then you have the Jewish people. This week is what you call the feast of the Passover week. This is kosher week, kosher. So there's lots of cultures in Canada, different religious cultures which going on. Ramadan, Muslim, Good Friday, Holy Week for Christians who practice. And now is Passover for the Jewish people. Anyway, I'm glad I traveled, I see the world, and I didn't stay in my bubble in the Caribbean. If you stay in your bubble in the Caribbean, you won't observe a lot of things. Well, if you want to observe Good Friday, observe it. But I could only sit down and reminiscing on Good Friday in Grenada as I sit here, as a small boy flying kite. And my parents tell me, don't climb the tree for the kite because we go fall. Don't go in the river. You don't get no meat to eat on Good Friday. Growing up, you get saltfish to eat. Does the average, is it talking about in Grenada? Do you think the average Canadian studying to don't eat meat on Good Friday? I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyway, this is me, Hudson Judge. This is all I have to say. I changed my Facebook page into a creator. Facebook asked me to change my Facebook page many times and I didn't do it, but finally I do it because meta upgrading and I reached the goal to change the page, but I never wanted to do it because I only does use Facebook. For me it was leisure, but Facebook asked me to upgrade and do other things and things. So I abide by Facebook rules as a creator on Facebook. Anyway, I'll be back tomorrow with a topic. So this is me, Hudson Judge. I gone till I come again.